Hi there, my name is Darlene Meckelberg and I'm a diabetes clinical specialist with Medtronic Diabetes based in Canada. And it's my pleasure to welcome you back to this education support series. This video is the second of two short videos focused on continuous glucose monitoring, commonly called CGM. And it's going to focus on the MiniMed 670G and using auto mode. Before we get started, please note that this video has been prepared for information and educational purposes only, so please continue to seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare professional for any questions that you may have regarding a medical condition. In this video, I'd like to give a brief overview of the auto mode function on the MiniMed 670G insulin pump system, as well as reviewing some of the fundamental concepts for auto mode. From there, I'll review a few tips for success meant to help you maximize the amount of time you spend in auto mode. Auto mode provides automated basal insulin delivery every 5 minutes, which is known as auto basal. Auto basal targets 6.7 millimoles day and night, with 3.9 to 10 millimoles as the target range, which I will talk about a bit more in the next slide. This range is shown as the green band on the pump graph screen if you select your graph button on the face of your 670G pump. Auto basal delivery is determined by your insulin delivery needs for the past 6 days, along with your current sensor glucose values and recent insulin delivery. It provides frequent small adjustments to match your body's insulin needs, which are constantly rising and falling. Having this ability to adapt basal insulin delivery helps keep your glucose levels in the target range. When you enter auto mode, you'll see a blue shield, which will display on your home screen as we see here. And if there's ever any question as to whether your pump is in auto mode, just check the home screen and look for the shield. It's also a good idea to check for the shield at bedtime to ensure the pump is in auto mode before going to sleep. The current sensor glucose value is displayed within the shield, and active insulin also displays on the home screen while in auto mode. If your sensor glucose is trending up or down, arrows will appear in the top portion of the blue shield. The MiniMed 670G automatically adjusts basal insulin to help optimize the amount of time your glucose is in range. Time in range is defined as the amount of time spent with your sensor glucose between 3.9 and 10 millimoles. And the goal for you is to spend as much time as possible in this range. When looking at these two graphs, they're meant to serve as a comparison between traditional pump technology with no automation on the left to using SmartGuard and auto mode delivery that provides automatic basal insulin adjustments on the right. Now, if you look at the bottom of the section of your graph on the left, it shows 3 pre-programmed basal delivery rates. If you look above that, you're going to see the sensor glucose graph that shows a red line with 6.7 millimoles as the target, and the gray shaded area indicates the 3.9 to 10 millimole time in range. The blue line is the CGM sensor glucose tracing, and you'll see that the glucose is often quite a bit higher or lower than the time in range boundary. If you look at the graph on the right, you're going to see the auto basal delivery noted by the green small bars changing every 5 minutes to keep your glucose within the time in range boundary as much as possible while aiming for the 6.7 millimole fixed target. When comparing these two graphs, it shows that auto mode is able to accomplish a higher time in range of 72% versus using traditional pump and CGM technology with 57% time spent in range. That's an extra 3.6 hours each day in range of 3.9 to 10 millimoles when using auto mode. To determine what is required to enter or re-enter auto mode, you can access the auto mode readiness screen anytime, and it can be found in the status menu. This screen shown here is going to give you guidance on items that need to be in place to enter auto mode. In this example, the auto mode readiness screen that we see on the left shows sensor not ready on line 3 with a waiting icon with a little shield with 3 dots. And this means the pump is updating and nothing needs to be done by you. It also shows carb ratio not set on line 6 with a question mark icon. This indicates that this item does need attention to enter auto mode. The readiness screen on the right shows that these items, along with all the other criteria, have been met. So you'll see all the green check mark icons, and then that means that auto mode is now ready. For additional help with the auto mode readiness screen, there is a table in the back of your auto mode getting started guide for MiniMed 670G that provides details for each of the action items on the auto mode readiness status screen. When you are in auto mode with the blue shield showing on your pump screen, your basal insulin delivery, as mentioned earlier, is being delivered every 5 minutes based on your 6-day insulin delivery history, your current sensor glucose, and your recent insulin delivery, all while targeting a glucose of 6.7 millimoles. Should you ever have a gray shield on the right and be in safe basal, you are still in auto mode, but your insulin is being delivered at a fixed rate based on your recent insulin delivery needs. Safe basal activates under certain conditions that are outlined in your auto mode getting started guide, and you can be in safe basal for a maximum of 90 minutes, which gives you time to follow the instructions on your pump screen so that you can return to the blue shield as soon as possible. If safe basal isn't addressed within 90 minutes, you'll be exited to manual mode and basal delivery will begin using your basal pattern settings. You'll also be notified when this happens with an alert that the pump has exited you to manual mode. Please remember, if you exit to manual mode, that your smart guards suspend before low or suspend on low have been turned off. If your return to auto mode is going to be delayed, it's recommended that you turn on these functions. When changing the sensor, if sensor warm-up takes less than 90 minutes, an auto mode exit will not occur. If it's longer than 90 minutes, both a sensor calibration and a blood glucose may be needed to enter auto mode. These are the top 5 reasons for an auto mode exit into manual mode. Most of these exits can be easily rectified by doing a blood glucose and or calibration to resume auto mode function. The first auto mode exit reason is missed calibration, which means that a calibration has been requested but not yet entered. Since the calibration has not been performed and the 90-minute safe basal time frame has expired, the pump will exit you to manual mode until you're able to provide a calibration. The second common reason for auto mode exit is prolonged high sensor glucose, meaning that you've had a sensor glucose of equal to or greater than 16.7 for more than 1 hour, or a sensor glucose of equal to or greater than 13.9 millimoles for more than 3 hours. In this scenario, you will not be moved to safe basal for 90 minutes, but instead you'll experience a direct exit to manual mode so that you can address your high glucose before you can re-enter auto mode. Auto mode max delivery timeout exit means that your auto basal has been delivering at a maximum personal basal amount for 4 hours and then has moved to safe basal for 90 minutes. This can easily be rectified by checking your blood glucose and then taking the correction dose of insulin if recommended, and you'll be able to re-enter auto mode. Sensor algorithm underread indicates that there is a difference between your blood glucose and sensor glucose greater than 35%, or the system has determined that there is a possible sensor issue. You may experience a request for a blood glucose and or calibration in order to re-enter auto mode, or your pump may indicate that you need to change your sensor. Auto mode minimum delivery timeout means that your auto basal has been delivering at a minimum personal basal amount for 2.5 hours and then has moved to safe basal for 90 minutes. Similar to the auto mode max delivery timeout, to rectify minimum delivery timeout, you're going to need to check your blood glucose and then you'll be able to re-enter auto mode. Please note that you can choose to exit auto mode at any time by turning the auto mode feature off. You will receive both a Calibrate Now and BG Required alert when you are in auto mode. And while each is asking for a blood glucose, they happen for 2 different reasons. And I'd just like to explain that. When you receive a Calibrate Now alert, the system is asking for a blood glucose to ensure that you continue to get CGM or your sensor values. On the other hand, when you receive a BG required alert, the system is asking for a blood glucose to ensure you stay in auto mode. In this case, you may also use your blood glucose as a calibration if it's a good time to do so. Ultimately, for each alert, your action is the same: to check and enter a blood glucose. While in auto mode, you do have the ability to manually suspend your insulin delivery at any time. And when suspended, the auto mode blue shield will turn red, along with a red banner across the bottom of your pump screen so that you're aware that your insulin delivery has been suspended. You will also receive an alert every 15 minutes to remind you that your insulin is suspended. You may wish to consider suspending your pump for short periods of time for things such as showering or bathing, exercising, or swimming. And anytime your pump is disconnected and suspended for a period of time, auto mode will then track the correct amount of insulin you've received. It's recommended that you discuss the use of the suspend feature with your healthcare professional. While in auto mode, the Temp Target function allows you to temporarily set auto basal to a higher sensor glucose target of 8.3 versus the standard target of 6.7. You may wish to engage this feature for exercise or for other times that you'd like a slightly higher sensor glucose target. And when this feature is active, you will notice a green banner across the bottom of your home screen to indicate that you're using Temp Target. You can set the Temp Target for up to 12 hours at a time, and you can cancel it at any time. For exercise, you may wish to turn on the Temp Target 60 to 90 minutes before exercise and then keep it on until the exercise effect is over. Carbohydrate to cover exercise may still be needed. When you're in auto mode, reading and responding to all alerts is key to staying in auto mode as much as possible. And there are a few other tips to consider. In terms of eating, ensure that your carbohydrate entries are accurate. And additionally, pre-meal bolusing 10 to 15 minutes before eating is probably one of the most important aspects of auto mode success, as it allows your meal insulin a bit of time to begin action before carbohydrate absorption. Now let's talk about calibration. The importance of calibrating your sensor was discussed in the first CGM video, and it's highly recommended to calibrate 3 to 4 times a day when your glucose levels are the most flat, which is on waking up, before meals, and bedtime. Those are typically ideal calibration times. In terms of correcting a high glucose, following a blood glucose check when the pump suggests a correction bolus, it is recommended that you take the suggested correction and learn to trust the system. Lastly, please ensure that you have got your CareLink account set up and are able to upload your system and generate your reports regularly so that you can work closely with your healthcare team to make the necessary adjustments that will help you accomplish your goals. Before wrapping up, there's just a few more tips to help to be successful in auto mode. First of all, it's always important to keep your eye on the battery level indicator on your home screen. You will receive a low battery pump warning when you have approximately 10 hours of battery life remaining. It is recommended that you change your battery after receiving this warning, because if you don't and the battery dies completely, there will be a 5-hour warm-up period required before you can re-enter auto mode. The lost sensor alert is triggered when the transmitter has not received a signal for 30 minutes. So if you receive this alert, just quickly check to ensure that your transmitter and sensor are still connected. It's recommended to move your pump closer to your transmitter and sensor, as this alert can happen when you wear your sensor on one side of the body and your pump on the other side. This is also an alert that can be generated if there's interference from other network items, which can happen once in a while. When the pump and transmitter do reconnect, and this can take up to 15 minutes, the transmitter is going to send any stored CGM data to the pump, as it holds up to 10 hours worth. The sensor updating alert is an alert that you'll see if your sensor glucose is outside the expected range. This is a normal alert, and it does happen on occasion, and the system is going to try to resolve it on its own, so just remember to be patient. Within 3 hours, the system will start displaying the sensor glucose values again, or it will ask you for a calibration, or it may tell you to change your sensor. It's recommended to ensure that you have a good sensor site location with careful insertion and secure taping to help mitigate receiving this alert. This wraps up our second CGM video focusing on auto mode, and hopefully you found this information helpful. Thank you so much for your time and wishing you much success in auto mode.